Hi everyone, welcome to day 16 of Spark Learning. So, today we are going to talk about time travel or versioning. So, what is time traveling? So, since talked about we can make changes on the data, so we also will have like versions, right? We also have different copy of data. Maybe I made some changes on the data today, and like what it was yesterday and what it is today is different. So we will have the history of changes. That maybe on a simplest term we can call that is versioning. Like you will have multiple versions of your data based on the changes which you are making, right? So what is this versioning really help you, right? So versioning will help you. Suppose you ran an update statement which is not necessary, or like you didn't put the right filter, right? So that like you can bring that previous data back so that you don't have a data loss. Or you wanted to see, okay, when this change had happened, like you have seen the data a month ago, and today when you look at the data, you're seeing the data entirely different. So you wanted to know when this huge difference happened, what was the update happened. So those kind of things, right? Like troubleshooting how this happened and comparing like what was the previous status and what is the current status. This is where time travel will help us. And delta tables are providing you by default time travel feature or versioning feature that help you to go back to any previous versions of this file, and as well as like you can like restore that back to that version by getting the data from that specified version. So we'll go into Databricks and see how this can be done in practical. Yeah, we are into the Databricks screen notebook. Like, so we have been talking about asset transaction schema evaluation. So next is time travel, right? So we are into time travel. This same point what we have discussed in PPT. I don't want to waste your time talking about that. I have this first Python code where which is going to create our same Alice and Bob data set. So I have this employee delta table. I'm going to change this as employee 1. The reason is because I already have employee and I was doing all this exercise, so you might be seeing little complicated history on top of that. So I'm creating a new like delta table called employee 1, so that we might need to change some slight changes here and there. So I have this table created. So if you're interested to see what we have, yeah. So now what I'm going to do, we have this employee 1 created. I'm going to do an update statement where Alice's name is Alice. I'm making their salary as 6,000. So what was our earlier salary was 5,000. We are upgrading that to 6,000. So this is one step, and yeah, we'll select this and run. Let us see that update is happened. Now you can run this delta table history. So this is started showing. So this delta table history is a statement that help you to give you the history. So the version start from 0. Your first version of the file is called 0. Then 1, 2, 3. Every changes the version will keep getting added. Now I have like made two things. One is right. So we'll talk about this. I'll do this this statement as well. This is an insert statement. So how do we do insert? Insert will be done using append, right? So I'm selecting this code, running the selected code. So this is going to add another data, and let me do this show history again. So you can see an additional version is created, version 012, right? So 0 is your initial version. Let us try to understand this in little detail, right? What is the 0th version? So if you see version 0, the timestamp is mentioned when this change happened, and user ID. So we all will have a unique ID, but in order for you to understand me, this is my username, dsademo2025@gmail.com, right? So this is captured. So if anyone else going to make the changes, we know who made the changes. So this is an audit information, correct? And what kind of action this person has performed. I did a write, I did an update, I did a write. So both are right, correct? But there is a difference. This was overwrite, so it was like deleting all your data, and this was append, where it was update, like inserting the new data. So update, you already know it, right? And it also give you like which using which notebook ID I made the changes, which was the cluster which was running the code, right? So it will have all this information. Read was like which previous data it used to make the changes and all this, right? So there are so many information. Let us don't need not to go deep dive into that. So two things which you have to understand: every time when you make changes, there is one version entry created in this history table, and will have a timestamp attached to it, right? So I am also showing you some another command that help you to run this. So that's the same thing, but it comes in this format. That's why I don't want. So we have like inside show, we have truncate true and false. So if it is truncate true, it will cut down in the string, and if it is truncate false, it will show the entire string in some of these columns. You may have a long string, right? So the entire data will be shown. We can use this all this information in a tabular format. We are using the display, right? So now let us learn. Hope you understood how I can make changes, which we have already learned. Now you know how to get the history, like how the histories keep adding, and it help you to identify the user as well as the operation, and as well as the like which notebook and all this information it is capturing. So now what was our initial requirement, right? I made a change. This insert was accidental, right? So I wanted to know, or like I wanted to know when this change had happened. So I can backtrack and understand the version. So let us say how we will capture the data. Now you saw that this many actions had happened. Now I need to know like when what was the data when there was a version 1, right? So let us go into this fetch data from each version. So I just mentioned 0th version. So you like what I am doing, I'm creating a data frame, spark.read same data. So in options I am saying that version as of, right? And which version? 0th version from the delta path. So the delta path is same, right? So from my employee 1 table, this is going to read the version 0th data, right? So I have the same command below, which I mentioned version 1. If you can give version 2, 3, how many ever version, right? I'm giving version 5, which does not even exist. Let us see what the system say. Cannot time travel delta table version 5, available version 0 to 2. You already got the answer, right? So that is what you need to say. Read the error. I don't even need to open. It was very clear. I only have the value should be 0 to 2. I can give 1, and I get the data with Alice with 6000. So 0th version Alice is 5000. First version Alice is 6000. If I take second version, I'll get an additional row here. Aligned? Agreed? Yeah. So this is how you can like go back to the version level information, right? So I have a different scenario. I don't know which version the changes had happened, but I know this happened yesterday, right? Or it happened today 5 o'clock. So what I need the data which is before that time, right? Before this version happens, but I don't know which version. So we have that answer, which is you can use the timestamp of, which would help you to travel back to the status where which time it was, right? So I wanted to know what was the data yesterday this time, right? What was the data day before yesterday this time? I can just give my date and time specific and we can run it. I believe this would throw an error because my employee table is not created during that time, right? It created even after that. So what it is saying, please use the timestamp after 3:10:15 15:28, right? So I'll give 15:29. So the table is probably created 15:28. So now I'm running this 15:29. This is giving a detail. So if I give like 32, okay, I think it is even before 31. So I can check this. I can go to that history and check that. Okay, 30:25 because my actions were so quick, right? Like that's why I don't have that very big window to get you. Yeah, you can see that change of Alice had happened. So I'm in the version like before version 2 right now, correct? Yeah, so that is where you will be able to time travel using timestamp and get the data, get the previous data. Clear? Yeah, so now you know how to go back and get your data. Great. Now you may have this information captured, but you wanted to read it, right? One way is like you are already reading this into data frame. You can write that into a new file, or you can write it on top of the same file, which help you to capture the previous information. So you can use that Spark read and write the delta file back to the same or different file, which will help you to write it. Otherwise, what you can do, so this is the action called rollback. Okay, in case if you are not familiar, we are going back to the previous state. So all what we did was like we were reading the previous state of the data, right? Here I wanted to go to the previous state, and when somebody select my data hereafter, I want them to see the previous state. So that action can be called as rollback. We are rolling back to the specified state. So here I'm rolling back to any version which I can define. So it will write back. So here we have this Spark SQL command that help you to restore table. You know what it is, right? And a delta path to version 0. So let me run this. Yeah, so let it revert it back, and meanwhile let me read. Should have my read somewhere, right? Yeah, so this is executed. I'm reading the same file again into df time. I can see this table by default reading. It started showing my previous version because I have restored my version 0, right? So now let us do our history, table history, and see how it is showing. So now what we did, we kind of overwritten, right? Then does it overwrite? No, sorry, this was a restore operation. Now you'll also be seeing the restore operation. So now let me show you something interesting. Right, I have this employee path delta table. Yeah, no, employee one itself I can. So let's do this statement once again. Okay, I am overwriting. So usually what I did is like I have overwritten my employee one data set. So the expectation like every data is wiped out and we are back to this Alice, right? Now I'm going to run my history and see what happens, right? Yes, history is not cleared, correct? So however you did an overwrite, you kind of like overwritten all the data and trying to restore to the previous stage or newer stage. So you can see all this history is still maintained, correct? You can see write, overwrite. You can also see like whatever even previous update, you would be able to reach out to anything. So overwrite, so all I wanted to tell you is like overwrite does not clean up your data, it will only add an additional version on that. So that is why I used employee 1 when I was doing, because I had this employee table which had all this history. In order to avoid the complication, I used employee 1. So that is one major point I want you to keep it, like override does not clean up your history, it will only overwrite your data. Clear? Hope this time travel is clear for you. Time travel is a versioning of your data which help you to revert back to the previous stage and access the data when you need it. You can also use a rollback that will help you to go back to that stage and change your file into that particular stage permanently. So that is what a time travel is. Hope this video was helpful and you are able to understand what is time travel. We'll see you on the next video on the optimization on delta table. Thank you for watching.